Hey everybody, and welcome to the Garrison at Nobleman Square, where filmmakers talk about their craft. Today we're talking with Greg Newberry, the writer, producer, and director of a new film called Is Amos Otis? Let's take a look.
The morning sun kissed me away.
You've been arrested for killing the President of the United States on video in front of the world. I think an insanity defense is your best option.
Do I look insane? Mussolini, Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi. He's in good company.
As fascists kick down my door.
He was elected president. He wasn't a dictator.
But he wanted to be. Did you like him?
I'm an African-American male. He gave me 0 reasons to like him. Didn't want to see him dead, though.
Really?
No one deserves to be killed.
If anyone did, though.
Have you ever been to a psychiatrist or in any kind of therapy?
Nope. I have no medical records.
Everyone has medical records.
I guess we'll see, won't we?
You were on a mission with clear intent, yes?
Yes.
Would you say that your intent was to destroy this country?
Your country is racing towards civil war, and he was leading the charge.
Please raise your right hand.
Fascism would be an improvement over what was in store for you.
A little too dark in here, don't you think?
He inspired racists to spew their hatred. He exploited their fears. He incited their anger. And their anger is a powerful weapon.
Hey Greg, and welcome to the Garrison.
Hey Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to see you. You know, your new film, Who is Amos Otis, it comes off at first as a courtroom drama. And I think a lot of people, they think they have preconceived ideas about what a courtroom drama is. You figure out you're going to root for who the good guys, who the bad guys are. And your film kind of turns that all on its head. Talk a little bit about that. Were you planning on shaking the genre up?
Oh no, I didn't. I had no genre intentions whatsoever. It was just a story, and that's how the story unfolded. It's a guy. It's an assassin, and it picks up on the trial of the assassin of a president of the United States, and what unfolds with that, with his testimony and his background.
This wasn't a movie where you check your brain at the door.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I hope not. I hope it keeps you engaged and keeps you guessing and wondering what the hell is going on with this guy.
Why did you want to tell this story?
Well, I was, it's a very politically charged story.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people, I woke up on November 4th, 2016, going, what the hell just happened? And didn't like the direction our country was headed, and just, had this idea for the story, and pursued it. And it started off as a stage play, as a theater production. And there were issues that I wanted to get into for people to think about and consider in terms of what this country's all about, what it stands for, where it's headed. The challenge was to try and weave all of that into a story that made sense and was fictional, and people could, extrapolate what was going on in their own heads, and challenge, just challenge some beliefs out there. What's right, what's wrong, and who are we anymore as a country?
Several of your scripts have caught the attention of major producers like Tom Cruise and Mark Johnson, who produced Rain Man and The Notebook. I would think with those kinds of contacts, you could have taken your script into Hollywood and had it produced there, but rather you decided to make it yourself. How come?
Well, there were a couple of factors. One was the urgency of the story. Again, this, a desire to make a difference, a desire to impact people's thinking about what was going on in the country. So I had a kind of a ticking clock going on to begin with. So after we did the play, I thought, and I saw the audience reaction to it, and I thought, well, this is working, and it actually works. It could work on screen. And I talked to some friends out in LA about I think Netflix was doing these like $500,000 negative pickup deals or something. That's what they told me anyway. And so they were excited about the script and thought, well, let's go do this. And we had that discussion at the time. I know what the development hell is. It's a 5-year process, to get a movie made. At the best, it's 3 years or 2 years. And I didn't want to wait that long. And I said, like, I got these actors and they're incredible. And, I don't want to go wait around to, send this thing out to different star, the name actors that typically you would try and do, to make a successful film. And then the pandemic kicked in and everything shut down anyway. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to go that route. Just no way to, I'll be trying to make that. I'll be trying to piece this thing together for the next 5 years. I don't have the patience for it, the desire for it, the need for it. I was looking at a situation where I had a cast, and that's usually from my end. That's one of the biggest challenges. It's just, and I went through that challenge just to get the cast for the play. And like, I got a great cast, so let's put that on the table. Now, what do we need to do? I need to find the crew and the equipment and everything, the locations and everything else to pull off. And I'm like, that's kind of in my bailiwick. I can make this happen. So we basically, just willed it into existence to, use the cliche, but that was it. I really didn't want to. And it's funny, when I finished it, I sent it back out to those guys. And they're like, we're so glad we didn't do that, because your cast is great. The fact that we don't know who they are makes it that much more real. It's not a movie, they feel like they're really in this courtroom with this guy. And this is happening in our society today. So it gave an authenticity to the story that would not have been there had I gone that other route. And I'm convinced I'd still be trying to get it made if I'd gone the other route. It wouldn't happen, So, and the interesting factor, the other part of it is we did it during the pandemic, when everything had shut down. And for the very reasons that I put it on stage, because it was so contained, it's basically, at that point, I had 2 locations. I had a courtroom and a holding cell, which were easy to put on stage. I'm like, well, wait a minute, a courtroom is set up for social distancing. The judges, things up there, the defense tables over here, we can space things out, and we can actually pull this thing off if we're careful and film it with social distancing. And that made it attractive to everybody to work on it, because they're like, hey, we don't have to sit here on our butts and wait for the pandemic to pass, and nobody knew when that was going to happen. And if we can pull this off safely, yeah, we're in. So ironically, I could not have done this film without the pandemic.
Rico Reed's character, playing the defense attorney, he came across so well as conflicted of who Amos Otis is, while at the same time realizing that's not supposed to matter. He's here to represent this person and make sure that his rights and all of that. There's not a lot of actors out there, I don't know, that could peel the onion down as far as he did. How much direction did he need to nail that character like that?
Wow. Well, like they say, casting is like 80% of directing. So I found the right guy, to start with. And he had a sensibility about it. Personally, he had the right makeup to bring to that role. And so, yeah, we had discussions about that. Also, his background is stage. This is his first movie he's ever done. So I'm really, really happy that his name's Rico Reed. I'm really, really happy with his performance. It was perfect, it's just the right perfect tone. But for me, as the writer and the director, his point of view is that of the audience, He's struggling with just what you're talking about. He's struggling with the, I'm representing this guy. This is the worst defendant as a public defender I could ever have. He's just murdered the president of the United States, and now I got to defend him. So it's not what he set out to do as a public defender. He wanted to help the poor downtrodden, not the murderous guy with the political agenda. So he's conflicted right off the bat, and I think he never. That was the beauty of that role, and what Rico was able to do with it is that he's never sure what's going on with this guy. And also with Josh, who played Amos, you're never really sure where he's coming from either. He just keeps you on your toes.
Do you have a preference of the freedom of doing things with a smaller budget in an area and being able to keep your day job in advertising, or going out into the gamble world of LA.
I got to say, creatively, Who is Amos Otis is my first feature film, and it was done under ridiculous circumstances, challenging circumstances, but from a creative perspective, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, and to be able to continue to do that would be pretty special. So yeah, if I could do that, that would be great. But I'm not. Again, I'm pretty realistic. I know how the industry works. I've been through it, through the gauntlet. Like, whatever. I can keep writing stuff and see what happens. That's the beauty of being a writer. It doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
That's the difference between writing a screenplay and doing a movie. You sit there and I do writing classes, and I talk to people, and I go, it's the only profession that you really don't need a pencil and a piece of paper, and you're a writer. You don't really have to invest anything. So you can always throw it away if it's no good. So why not? Absolutely. And it's really my core strength. I direct. I don't direct other people's stuff. I have no interest in that. I produce so I can do my own thing, basically, and direct my own stuff so I can protect it.
One of the things that I love from a production standpoint and as a filmmaker, it's really accessible. And what I mean by that is when you watch these multi-$100 million blockbuster films that most of us can't comprehend how the heck you did that, how they made that,
Right.
And this film, indie filmmakers can watch and say, I can see how the pieces came together to make this.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a consistent thing with me, in that I'm always thinking about how's this going to happen, so I'm fascinated by contained stories. And I write, that there's a saying in the screenplay trade, don't start off your script with, the Army flew over the hillside, because the producer goes, well, hell, this is $100 million movie right off the bat. It puts a price tag on it to begin with. So, and for me, I've always been fascinated by human interaction in contained spaces. Like, for instance, Beamer Baby, it's two guys on a bridge. Mm-hmm. So again, from a production standpoint, pretty economical to pull up. Home Free, which you mentioned, it takes place in one room. It takes place in a church place. We've got a courtroom in this. The play I did before was called Riding Shotgun, and it was four guys in a car, and four middle-aged guys in a car struggling with who they were and where they were going in their lives. So I think drama, I'm just fascinated by telling stories in not tight spaces, but not being elaborate with it. I don't think you need to. David Mamet, he says, give me two people and two stools and I can tell you a story. So I think if you're starting out, both from getting your writing chops together and forcing yourself to think about, how can I make this a compelling story with a small environment? Number one, it makes the story better. It challenges you as a writer to understand the intricacies of human relationships and interactions, and then also allows you to actually get the damn thing done. You have something that's producible, and you don't have to fly around the world to make a movie. You can do it down the street somewhere. You can do it in a garage. It's thinking that way. And so if you have that going into it, so people starting out, that's my strongest recommendation, just think small. And if you're a writer, you're not even going to do your own thing, it helps to think small as well, because the people that produce these things that you're going to have to get it to eventually, they're in the same mindset. They're looking for a good story. They don't care if it spans the continents or not. They want a compelling story, and if you can get their attention and make them think and make them feel, that's what puts you on the map.
Well, I think we're going to probably wrap things up here. We've been talking for a little bit longer. I don't know how much longer until Zoom pulls the plug on us here. anything else you would like to add about the whole process, about the film, about any of that before we take off?
Oh, it's just been a very creatively rewarding thing. And there's nothing in all of there's just nothing better, I think, than being in a theater when people are watching your stuff, you know, and feeling that reaction and seeing it work. You know, you kind of hope it's going to work. You pray it's going to work. You think you put things in there to make it work, and then when you actually experience it working, it's pretty cool. I had in this particular thing, one of the nicest moments was after we did the play. I was doing everything myself, and you've done that. You know, I'm taking the judges' chambers back to where I got them, the prop place. You know, and I was over at UC, and I got a tap on my shoulder, and I looked down. There was this young woman, and she had tears in her eyes. And I go, "What?" She goes, "I saw your play last night." And I said, "Really?" She goes, I said, "How'd you see it?" She goes, "I was an usher." And she goes, "I just thank you for doing that. It was really a special story, and that made it worthwhile." And never seen her before in my life, never see her again. But it made me realize it was worth doing. So that's all I got.
Greg, thanks so much for your time, and thank you for joining us at the Garrison at Nobleman Square, where filmmakers talk about their craft. I'm Scott Wegener, and until next time, remember to stay focused and keep those batteries charged.